Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. This is Alan with another broadcast of the Morlog Morning Digest for you. You can help our channel grow by liking, subscribing, hitting the bell for notifications, but most importantly, please share the content. A link can be found in the description for donations. PayPal.me/Morlog Morning Digest. No obligation, but it would definitely help me out moving forward. We're going to jump right into the transhumanism agenda today because one of my subscribers asked me to cover the actual endgame of this agenda and not just mention transhumanism, and I honestly think this is a good course considering the events that are taking place in the world around us today. Now, one thing I want you guys to understand before we start this conversation is our bodies do not make us human. Our humanity is derived completely from the soul. Our bodies are nothing more than a machine. And any machine with autonomy requires a connection to an outside source, a server, something that gives the body or the machine information. And that is dependent on a connection, right? And that connection comes from the electrical frequencies around us that exist in this reality, all around us. And in turn, if they are manipulated, this information can be altered. Now, there was only one system that human beings were ever intended to have contact with. However, any programmer can tell you that you must program balance into your program or your program is not going to work. So, Satan and that program and that knowledge must be required in order to make this reality work. Otherwise, God would have had no reason to put it there. All right. Now, with that being said, we as human beings made the choice to establish an alternate connection to an unnatural source. And this happened all the way back in the Garden of Eden when Satan corrupted Eve, who then corrupted Adam into partaking into the tree of knowledge. And this set into reality a course of events that leads us up to where we are to today. Now, there's more to this story, all right? Once this connection was established with human beings, Satan's goal became corrupting the entire program, acting like a virus and systematically destroying God's work to make it his own creation. Now, through some sort of deal, God allowed this to happen almost as though to say, you can have your turn, but I'm going to prove to you in the end that I am more powerful than you, etc., etc. I don't know the reasoning behind this. I just know that that's the case. Now, part of the story dates back to the fallen. And this is where I believe the big divergence between humans and NPCs took place. Non-player characters being meatbags, machines that don't have a soul. Now, when the fallen came down and corrupted the female kind of human beings, they inserted into the equation a different mechanism and a different connection, ultimately corrupting those that would be born with souls henceforth forward if they were tied back to the fallen, which is where again the Rh negative and Rh positive divergence takes place. Now, what does this do? This gives bafflement, the perfect symbol of transhumanism, by the way. Now, transhumanism means, from what I can gather, right, the combination of technology, right, and using that technology to transform the human figure, the machine itself, and the way that machine operates. And this is why you will see anybody that believes in transhumanism will constantly attack the family, will constantly attack gender roles, will constantly attack morality, will constantly attack anything that connects you to that original system, to God himself, okay? And the more and more they attack that system, the more and more control they gain. Now, once a person is corrupted and begins to allow that system of bafflement, that system of Satan, to run their lives, they become more and more susceptible to that programming itself. A perfect example of this is the way that they attack our children with this whole transgender movement. Now, Baphomet himself has the breasts of the woman, right? The genitals of a man, the horns of a goat, the face of a goat. It is the epitome of combining everything that we see in this world together. And that is all done through technology. Technology is the ultimate tool of anybody pushing transhumanism. And it wasn't until recently the past caught up to the future. Because as I said, when the fallen came down and corrupted the females, they did this genetically. And I honestly don't believe it was through actual intercourse. I believe they used technology to accomplish this. Because if we look at what's happening in the real world today with the CRISPR technologies and the way that Chinese doctors have actually managed to make children who are genetically modified to resist the HIV virus, it becomes very apparent that this system itself is trying to cheat death. And they're not trying to cheat death to help us with souls to live forever, okay? Living forever is the biggest sin that you could ever hope to accomplish. If you want to be immortal, you are committing the biggest sin in my mind, because that is not the natural order of life. The only way to obtain immortality, to obtain pure transhumanism, is through technology. And technology is that tool. Most people like to think of technology as a machine, a non-organic component, when in fact, the entire world around us is nothing more than a machine. We have a very hard time of realizing that the definition of machine literally explains every system around us. Now, what is the ultimate goal of transhumanism? If they can obtain the ability to transfer the consciousness out of our bodies, and I'm talking about the NPCs, they're not going to allow you and I with a soul to do this. The ultimate agenda of transhumanism is to eradicate the meatbags that have a soul, right? And the way that they're going to do this, ultimately, which what they want to accomplish, right, is a way of transferring this consciousness inside our meat bag and insert that into an actual non-organic form, right? Transfer it into a mainframe of a computer, or say a synthetic brain that is mechanical and non-organic, right? And the moment you do that, right, you destroy the soul. And even though they may offer this technology to those of us with a soul, I have a feeling once we decide to allow our consciousness to be transferred into that system, our soul will cease to exist, right? Because this meat bag that we are living in is the only thing that can contain a human soul, right? That's how this world was designed. In transhumanism, right, the main goal is to eradicate everybody or every soul that is part of God's system and remove it from this world, in turn creating an entire world of NPCs doctrined and told what to do 100% by this connection to Baphomet, by this connection to this outside system. This is a spiritual battle we are witnessing day by day, moment by moment. I hope that this has done a decent job of explaining what the ultimate goal of these transhumanists is. You have to realize there is nothing good that has ever come from modern technology. Nothing. Yes, it saved lives, but in the grand scheme of things, it has corrupted this world way more than it has done good for it. If you look at anybody who's involved in major turning points in history when it comes to industrial production, Henry Ford, for example, right? Bill Gates, Microsoft, look into what his father did with eugenics. IBM, look at what they did with the Jews during the Holocaust. All I'm saying is, I want you to go back and look at the technological developments and how they've been used to remove us from being human. That is what transhumanism is. It's taking a human being and transforming them into a machine with no soul. Thank you guys. I appreciate you, and I'll catch you guys later. God bless and have a great day.